Hi there. I'm Michelle Messina, CEO of Explora International, based in Silicon Valley. And today I'm very pleased to be part of TechChill. And I'm going to speak a little bit about product market fit and why it's so hard, and some things that can make it hopefully a little bit easier for all you entrepreneurs and startups out there. Just really quickly about me. I'm based in Silicon Valley. I'm part of the board of Startup Chile. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I sold my first company when I was about 19 years old. And I've worked in more than 65 countries around the world, helping both startups and very large corporations get to the next level in their business. And a few years ago, I wrote a book called Decoding Silicon Valley, The Insider's Guide. And the objective of that book is really to help international entrepreneurs understand how to leverage a lot of the attitudes, culture, and best practices of Silicon Valley so they can be more successful in their business. So to start off with, we want to talk a little bit about what a startup really is. A startup is a temporary state of being, and it's searching for a repeatable, sustainable business model. And it's really important that you understand that it is a temporary state, and to find the product market fit as quickly as you can so that the company can be more successful in its long-term goal achievement. So the reality is that 90% of startups fail, and this is the statistic from Silicon Valley. So if you have all the resources that you need as an entrepreneur, whether it be capital, mentorship, access to prospective customers, service providers that understand best practices for growing and scaling companies, that's still a really high percentage rate for failure. In countries like in Latin America, such as Bogota, Colombia, or Brazil, the failure rate is even higher than that. The failure rate is somewhere around the 94, 95 percentile. So when you start thinking about those kinds of things, it gets more challenging, the ability to build a company that is sustainable for the long term. Most startups die of what we call suicide, not homicide. So this means that it's the decisions that the founders make about which markets, which products, which go-to-market strategy, the pricing structure, which industries they're going to focus on. Are they going to be very vertical? Are they going to be very horizontal? All these various decisions factor into the reasons that companies fail. So if 90% of startups fail, what are the main reasons that they are failing? And really it falls down to product market fit. There's lots of different reasons. One of them is obviously no market need. Another is that you've got the wrong team building the business, in the sense of they don't have the expertise, the knowledge of the market domain. They don't have the insights. They don't even have the network of contacts, for example. So a wrong team is one factor that for companies failing. Smarter, better, faster competition. Sometimes we get outrun by the competition, and that's certainly a factor. It's not as big a factor as you might think. There are other aspects that really create failure case scenarios. And pricing and cost issues are certainly one of them. The ability to build a product, tack on enough margin, and deliver sufficient value to the market. These are certainly important aspects of building the business and scaling. Of course, building a product that nobody wants to buy, a poor product that doesn't necessarily function well and doesn't do the job that it's promised to do, that's certainly a reason. Not understanding the way to make money from the perspective of what is the business model, what is the way that the customer wants to pay for the product. Do they want to pay in a monthly service agreement? Do they want to pay upfront in a one-time license fee? Do they want to pay an annual service fee? There's lots of different factors associated with the business model. There's lots of ways to charge the customer as well. So not having a clear business model is certainly one of the reasons that companies fail as well. Poor marketing. So that means that, the message is not clear in the market and the customer doesn't necessarily relate to the message that's being delivered in the marketplace. Timing is an important factor as well. We have a saying in Silicon Valley that it's too early, too early, too early, too early, just right, too late, which means that the window of opportunity to deliver your product to the market sometimes is very, very tight. We also have another saying that a bad idea is an idea before its time is worse than a bad idea, which means that if you have to insist on a lot of changes in your customer's behavior to be comfortable and comfortable enough to buy your product in the way that that you want them to, or change their behavior in such a way that they'll be able to use and adapt the product, that's actually worse than a product that just stinks and is a bad idea. So something that is too early in the market that requires your customer to do a lot of behavioral changes is worse than the bad idea. Of course, companies run out of cash because that's just what happens. Raising capital is hard. When you do find secure your round of capital, then running through that cash more quickly than you anticipated, that's certainly a reason why companies fail. I love this cartoon because it says, every step of the sales process went perfectly except the part where the customer buys our product. And so really that sort of encapsulates the challenges around product market fit. This is the single biggest reason companies fail, and it's really, really hard to be successful in understanding the market, building a network of market advisors or customer advisors that are willing to provide you with the kinds of insights and feedback that you need to build the product that they want to see. So CB Insights is an organization that does a lot of research on various different topics. This particular data set about top reasons companies fail is a small data set. It's only 101 companies, but I've highlighted the ones in red that are tied directly to product market fit. And you can see the top reason that companies fail is no market need. So that's the same as somebody not buying the product. No market need, not buying the product. We got outcompeted because we didn't necessarily understand the competition. We had pricing and cost issues. We had poor product. We didn't have a solid business model, or we lacked a business model, or our business model was just not ideal for the market. The product was mistimed, so timing is really important. We had a pivot that went bad, so we anticipated that the market wanted to go in this direction. We pivoted that way, but it didn't work out. Or we had a bad location if we're a physical retailer. So lots of reasons companies fail. The ones I've highlighted in red typically are associated with product market fit. So in the perfect world of product market fit, your user is going to understand and recognize your product's value. They're going to tell others about the wonderful experience they had with your product, and then your company is going to have the opportunity to replicate that wonderful experience with each new user that you secure. So to be successful in researching product market fit and what the market really wants, you've got to spend time talking to the market. You really do need help making all this work and getting the insights that you need. So I kind of chuckle every time I see this particular cartoon, because it's basically saying that our MVP is a perfect pencil sketch of the Mona Lisa. And if we keep going on the second line of photographs, the one in the very center says, here's the beta that we think we released, which was a very lean beta. It looks very nice. But in reality, the square directly to the right is what the customer feels like we actually released to them. Sales on the far left corner and the bottom sold this beautiful image. And then when we really launched the product on the far right, it wasn't quite what the customer wanted. It wasn't quite what sales sold. It wasn't quite what we thought it was from the market perspective. So this is the importance of understanding perspective and perception in the market. So the whole process of market development and market validation takes a lot of iterations. You know, we're going to try and fail and succeed again, but there's a couple things I want you to understand about how to make the process easier and much more enjoyable for you. Firstly, bring your curiosity to the table. You really want to understand what your prospective customer is saying and how their average day looks and all that good stuff. But you want to be super curious when you're sitting down to have those conversations with them, whether it be online or face-to-face. You want to be humble in the sense that your customer knows more than you do, and you really want to focus on listening half as much as you talk, or talking half as much as you listen. So you want to spend more of your time listening than you do talking, and you want to clarify when you have a statement coming from your customer. You want to clarify that statement to ensure that you really understand. So be curious, be humble, listen twice as much as you talk, and clarify statements so that you understand at a deeper level. The nice thing about having mentors in the marketplace is that you know, sometimes it can help you to get more experience or help them allow them to help you get pattern recognition and understanding behaviors in the marketplace. So mentors, I think, are a really important part of the success for moving into a new market, for example, or launching a new product. The bottom line is in all this is you are not going to have complete information as you're building your research and understanding about the market. You will never have all the answers, but there is a certain point where you as the founder have to trust your instincts. The market development process in a startup tends to be different than it is in a large corporation. When I was a VP of marketing and sales at a large company, on the right side is kind of how we did a lot of our market validation and our market development. You know, we could afford to pay for a lot of very costly market research reports. We could afford to do focus groups, and so bring a lot of people into the room and facilitate a discussion for 1 to 2 hours around what their insights were, what their behavior was like, what their preferences and priorities were. So when I was a VP of marketing, we had a lot more resources to do the market development and market validation process. As head of a marketing department for a startup, a lot of our marketing efforts were focused on validating the market through conversations. The market development process took more of a one-on-one approach, and that was sort of the way that we were able to get insights with the limited resources that we had available, because we didn't have the budget or the luxury of time and money to spend a lot of time doing research or writing reports or organizing focus groups. So market development in a startup is different than in a large corporation. You probably know this tool. This is the Business Model Canvas, and this is a great internal working tool to help you be more focused on the kinds of things that are going to be critical in building your product, building your prototypes, testing and a proof of concept, et cetera, et cetera. So the two things you want to be focusing on are right smack in the center is your value proposition. So what is the value that you're delivering to your prospective customer? And then on the far right, who is that prospective customer? What's the profile of that organization or that individual? So this is a good internal worksheet, and you want to keep focused on this as you develop your discussion topics. The business model canvas is broken down into 3 sections. You probably know this. It's feasibility, desirability, and the viability of the business. And ideally, you want to have a combination of all 3. That's sort of the sweet spot when you're talking about building the business. So when you bring all those things together, you know, that's sort of the perfect formula for product market fit. It's feasible to build and deliver the product. The product is designed desirable to the prospective customer, and then from a viability perspective, we can make money on this, make a profit on this. And so those three elements are kind of what makes the ideal formula for product market fit. But value is the most important from the perspective of the customers. What are you delivering to them? How are you helping their business? How are you helping their daily life? So just to kind of be clear on a few of these terminologies, your features are facts or attributes about the product. They don't really have any value. Your benefits are how the feature helps the customer. Value is how do those benefits align with our customers' goals and objectives? So the value proposition itself is the promise of value that's going to be delivered to your prospective customer. So when you talk about value proposition, it's a promise that you're making to your customer that you're going to be delivering upon some combination of price, performance, quality, convenience, some sort of expected outcome. And to sum it up, it's really how does your solution positively impact the customer or their business? And I think that always focusing on your value proposition is a really important place to be from a mindset and culturally as you build your research and your interview strategy for your prospective customers. When you talk about an impact on the customer's business, you would be looking at things like increased revenue, reduced expenses, acquiring more customers. How are you helping your customer increase their shareholder value? How are you helping them improve their efficiency? Or how are you helping them to reduce their employee turnover? And the human mind loves more. So we love more money. We love more vacation time. We love more friends. How do we put this in terms of something that increases from the customer's perspective? So if you notice, there's a couple of red arrows that point downward on this slide. How do we switch reducing expenses to a positive? Well, the opposite of reducing expenses is to increase profitability. So we would want to turn reduced expenses to increased profitability. And how would we change employee turnover to a positive? So instead of decreasing employee turnover, we're increasing employee retention. So my recommendation is that when you talk about your value proposition, that you put it in a positive frame for the customer, something that goes up. More time, more money, more friends, more vacation, whatever it is, but put it in a positive, increasing format for your prospective customer. So here's some value propositions for companies that I've been connected to in the past. The first one, our customers experience 30 to 40% shorter project lead times. Our tracking system has reduced their materials loss by $6,000 per month and added $70,000 annually to the bottom line. So that's an interesting one because we're talking about reducing materials loss and then increasing profitability to the bottom line. The last one, new product sales for the second quarter increased 93% to 1.57 million due to these improvements. So you can see lots of different ways to put your value proposition out there in the marketplace. But the thing that really catches people's attention are percentages, dollars, anything that basically improves their life, which is saving money, saving time. So more money, more time, and more profitability. So keep those things in mind when you're talking about your product value proposition. And your benefit messages are very, very important. How you put those together in an email, in your one-line elevator pitch, you should have messaging alignment across everything that you do because it helps you to do a better job building mind share in the marketplace. I think you attract better quality sales leads, so your sales process and your sales funnel hopefully will be slightly smoother because your market can respond and react to the message that you're putting out there in the market. It also helps you to have more tight alignment between all your team members because everybody is aligned around the single message of what your value is that you're delivering to the market. So it really helps you have a tighter alignment between your team and your staff. It helps you network to the right people, and it helps you recruit better people as well, because you're aligning all the way through, and the message that you put in the marketplace and the message that you put in your hiring process and the message that all your employees understand, it keeps everybody very tight and very aligned. So the bottom line in all this is you're going to have to test things. You're going to have to test messages, features, go-to-market strategy, pricing, a lot of different things, but you have license to experiment because you're an entrepreneur building a startup. So the best way to do a lot of this market validation really is to get out of the office and start talking to people. This is how you're going to learn and how you're going to grow. So you want to identify specific customer profile or profiles. So this is going to be the type of individual that you search for on LinkedIn or that's going to come through your network that you want to have a conversation with. So in creating a customer persona or a customer profile, you really want to basically create a person with a name, an age, gender, their job role. What are their preferences, their interests, and their beliefs? What matters to them and what motivates them? Who or what influences them? Are there publications? Are there thought leaders? Are there keynote speakers? Are there certain events that they attend online or in person? What does their average workday look like? Are they there at super early in the morning until late at night? What is their style of work? And you may not be able to answer all these questions, but it's really good to start talking about them and then be able to put together a list of 15 or 20 questions that you're going to use as a discussion guide to help you get to the answers that you need to reach. I recommend that you choose lots of different perspectives because in Silicon Valley, for example, one of the unique things about this region as a whole is that more than 50% of the population was born in another country, not just another state in the United States, but to another country. So we have 120 different languages and dialects that are spoken here. And when you put lots of different kinds of people around the table to build a product or build a service, you will find that those different perspectives contribute to a product that really meets the needs of the market and really delivers a lot of value. So in your interviews, in your process of securing insights from the market, create a profile of your ideal person that you want to talk to, but also be very aware that you need to get lots of different perspectives so that you can get different insights from those people and hopefully have deeper insights for yourself. So how do you find all these people? Once you've created your persona, you really want to use your network as much as possible. And obviously, we're all connected to friends, family, alumni associations. So go on LinkedIn, go through Facebook contacts, talk to your friends and family, go to your alumni network. What about your colleagues in the office? What about somebody you used to work with? What your objective is really is to find the right people with the right profile and be able to have a conversation with them about whether or not your vision for your product is ideally what they need and require. So you've got a lot of aspects or a lot of connections that you can make in the market, and most of us are connected to hundreds of people in the first degree connections, and some of us are connected to thousands of people in our second or third degree connections on LinkedIn, for example. So this is a really important tool to use to find business contacts. I think that it's probably the most widely used around the world. I would suggest that your profile could be in 2 different languages. If English is the primary language on your profile, make sure your profile is current and it's in correct English. So if somebody's a native English speaker that you know, ask them to take a few minutes to review it to make sure it's in correct English. You want to make sure it's really easy to find all your contact information too. So people really want to have the ability to connect with you. So don't hide or bury that information if you can help it. I crossed out bullet number 3 because since we've all been in lockdown for the last 12 to 16 months, it's important to make connections as much as you can online, because we're not face-to-face networking, just like we're not doing TechChill in person this session. We're doing it online. So I think it's important that you connect with people where you have a shared value or shared interest. And the last thing I'll suggest is on your headline in your LinkedIn profile, you can put, we're hiring, or I'm researching the ag tech market, for example. So there's nothing wrong with changing your headline temporarily to reflect the fact that you are doing market research around a particular topic. The biggest piece of advice I can give you on your product market fit research is you really need to do more than you think you do. Having 3 conversations with prospective customers that match a specific profile probably is not enough insights, not enough data points to give you the kind of insights and information that you're really looking for. So make sure you do more than you think you should. Have a great elevator pitch. So having a good elevator pitch for your interviews is really, really important. I think that sort of helps to encapsulate things for your prospective interviewee. The format that I've used when I've trained companies through 500 Startups or Startup Grind or Startup Chile is sort of 6 small elements. The why, which is what the problem is the why. Is there an issue? What is the issue? How are you solving the issue? What's the technology behind it? What's your team? And what is the traction that you have in the marketplace? So we typically use the why, what, how, technology, team, and traction when we're building a 1-minute elevator pitch. So think about this format as you're crafting your elevator pitch to put into your emails or put into the discussion that you're having with your prospective interviewee online. Your elevator pitch is something your grandmother should understand, okay? Because we have no advanced knowledge of the level of understanding or sophistication that the person has with whom we're talking or that we're going to meet with. So it's really, really important to make sure that our grandmother understands the elevator pitch. If we've got, if we're getting responses back from people confirming our request to do an interview, respond quickly, respond in hours. Don't be vague, be very direct about the specific time that you want to meet with them, what the particular platform is that you're going to talk to them about, and understand that if you're not responding quickly, they could potentially be moving on because people have a very short attention span. So here are some of the tools that you might need in the process of securing your interviews or getting people excited about your technology. Having a 1-minute elevator pitch, we talked about that. A 3 or 5-minute pitch, both with and without slides, is very valuable. A 1-page executive summary that kind of sums up the business. If you're meeting in person, obviously, business cards are essential tools. Not everybody has them around the world. Some people don't like them. In Silicon Valley, we still use business cards a lot, although we haven't been face-to-face networking in about a year. So that could change. Hopefully, we'll be networking again late this year. Your LinkedIn profile, all your contact information, easy to access, maybe more than one language. You have social media and messaging handles. Those are all very relevant as well. And I think having local mentors and advisors gives you insight in the market that you might not be able to get otherwise. So there's different ways to conduct your interviews. You can do them one-on-one, in person or online. You've got to have your discussion guide created because you want to flow for the conversation so that you can get get answers and insights that are going to help you move forward. If you have the budget, you can do things like focus groups. You can do all kinds of surveys. There's short surveys, long surveys. You can do polling during Zoom meetings. So if you have 3 people in an online discussion on Zoom, you can do a poll. All these things are definitely possible and realistic. So you want to figure out what are the best ways to get you answers and insights that will help you do a better job in securing product market fits. So just to clarify a couple of terms here, your POC, your proof of concept, really shows if the product or feature can be developed, okay? The prototype shows how it can be developed. This is a really more of an exercise around visualization and look and feel. And if you have a prototype, it's sometimes a lot easier for your prospective customer to respond and react and provide you with the good caliber of feedback that is going to get you the insights necessary to move forward to the next step. Your MVP, your minimum viable product, is basically the core functionality of the product, or the most important functionality of the product, but it does work. It is a fully functioning product. And so you need to understand sort of the differences between these terminologies when you're talking to your interviewee. The main thing is you want to get out there and validate as quickly as possible so that you can ensure that what you're building still maps to what the customer needs and requires. You're going to do lots of learning. You're going to get lots of insights. You want to celebrate this process. Every time you learn something new, I think it's interesting and exciting. I did a series of interviews 2 weeks ago with 3 different people that come from very different backgrounds. And funny thing was that 3 of them said almost exactly the same thing about the topic I was interviewing them on. And so I had a little chuckle about that, because it's just amazing what the market can tell you when you really listen. So the product market fit process is not straightforward. It is kind of full of twists and turns. It's a little bit like building a startup on the right, where you learn stuff and then you have to shift and you have to pivot and you have to go this direction and a little bit further left. So it is going to be an interesting process for you to learn a lot, but it is going to be hopefully full of a few surprises. So you want to be able to adapt to what those learnings are, and you kind of want to have a plan A or a plan B. And that goes to your product features as well, because the bottom line is this is, how the customer explained to you what they really want, which is the upper left-hand corner of this cartoon, versus the one to the far right, which is the lounge chair hanging from the tree. This is what sales sold to the customer, was this very comfy lounge chair. And far left on the bottom, the project was so well documented, there was nothing, or it was an invisible ink. And on the far right, what the customer really needed on the bottom was a tire on a rope. So that's always kind of interesting when you look at the communication process and why it's so important that you do enough product market research to understand what the customer really wants. So being experimentational about the whole process really celebrates your curiosity, and it really puts you in a position of humility in understanding that the customer knows more about things than you do. So you've got to be prepared to change. You've got to be prepared to adjust, and that will help make the journey a lot more interesting. Steve Blank is an author that does a lot of writings around the startup process, building companies, scalability, etc. And he's famous for saying, no business plan survives first contact with a customer. So that means that as soon as you put your idea in front of the customer is going to say, nope, you didn't quite meet my expectations. Here's what I need, and this and this and this. So you've got to be willing to change when they tell you that you're on the wrong track. Sometimes it's good to turn your interviewees in the local market or in the market into your customers and your advisors. Lots of people like to talk about themselves, and so this is a great opportunity for you to turn them into sort of advisors for your business over the long haul and help you get those regular insights. So if you can't physically meet your customer, you want to have some way to keep in touch with them on a regular basis, especially if this is your interviewee that you've turned into a prospective customer. So you want to keep them updated on what's happening in your business, what's happening with the product, how valuable their input was, and what you did with that input. And it's important to stay connected to them as much as possible. The challenge with product market fit interviews is that you will only get a certain amount of the information that you need. You will have some level of uncertainty always when you're building a startup, when you're a founder, and when you're doing your product market fit interviews. So this is normal. It's important to manage your own expectations and the expectations of your board, your investors, your senior management team. It's important that you share with them where you are in the process of trying to understand what product market fit really means to you as a company. And be aware that you're going to have what we call oh shit moments. These are when you suddenly realize, oh shit, this is very different than what I thought it would be. So we call those OSM moments. And those are completely natural, completely normal. You may get some piece of insight from the market that really jerks your head one way and allows you to think about things in a very different way. But these are normal. This is part of the process of uncovering what it really takes to be a successful company and not fail, which means product market fit. And these interviews are so important to what you do. So here's some final thoughts in the wrap up. My recommendation is to cultivate people with lots of different skills and perspectives in both your hiring team and the interviews that you do for product market fit. It's really good to take those interviewees, turn them into customers, and then turn them into market advisors. That long-term relationship is going to be so valuable for you over a long period of time. Find mentors that you really like and trust, that understand the domain, your technology, understand about scaling. And by the way, there's different kinds of mentors too. There's business mentors, technical mentors, strategy mentors. For example, I'm a combination of a business and a strategy mentor. I'm not a technical mentor, so if you talk about a lot of detail associated with how the product functions and what happens in the software and things like that, that's not me, but I can certainly talk about strategy, go-to-market, how to conduct your interviews, etc. It does take longer than you think. The interviews can be very time consuming, just like it takes longer than you think to build your startup. But timing is really, really important. So think about the timing for rolling out your product. Backing up from there, how far in advance do you need to do all those interviews? Timing is a really important factor. Track your progress. Look back periodically, because it will empower you to see how much you've done in the past and how far you've come. Those things are very relevant, especially when you're not having the best day and you kind of want to do a little pat on the back. You can see how far you've come. Be flexible and open to all the new learnings that you're going to get during the conversations and the interviews. But bottom line, this is your business. Trust your instincts. That's probably the single most important piece of advice I can give you. And if you're interested in reading more about best practices in Silicon Valley, my book is available on Amazon. And I've put a lot of resources up here that might be interesting to you as well. These are all free resources, everything from Silicon Valley Forum to Bessemer Venture Partners and Morrison Forster, which is an attorney. I will point out bullet point number 5, which is the Bessemer Venture Partners anti-portfolio, and this is a list of all the companies that Bessemer did not invest in and why they did not invest in them. And so that's an interesting read. Everything from FedEx to I don't know who from a startups, but Bessemer Venture Partners passed on investing in FedEx many decades ago. So product market fit, really challenging, but I hope that I've provided you with some insights and some tips and some tricks that will make it easier for you over the long haul to increase your chances of success and the chances of success for your startup as a whole. So thank you very much for listening, and you're very welcome to reach out to me. My contact information is on this slide, and if you happen to listen to this live stream and want to reach out, just tell me that you listened to it, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. So thank you so much.